All right, ready to dive into something pretty different today.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got this Spanish language recording, a monologue, honestly. Kind of mysterious.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like someone's just thinking out loud, kind of mixing spiritual and philosophical stuff, but also some super personal things, you know?
interesting.
We're talking lines like, periodo de transición, that's period of transition.
Okay.
Integration, and even, get this, yo soy la parte de David. I am the part of David.
Wow.
Definitely piqued our curiosity. Today, let's break it down, see if we can unlock some of its secrets together. What do you think?
Sounds fascinating. It's like we're getting this inside look at someone wrestling with huge questions about who they are, where they fit in the world.
Totally. And the way it's all woven together, it just pulls you in. Like right away, the speaker says, yo soy todo lo que yo soy sin ninguna duda. I am all that I am, without a doubt.
Wow.
Talk about owning your identity, right? But then almost like right after, they say, yo soy la parte de David. I am the part of David.
So it's like this tension between being a complete individual but also part of something bigger.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder, who is this David? What's the connection? Seems central to how this speaker sees themselves.
Right. And the language they use toward David, it's incredibly intimate. Like they share this secret language.
I see.
And that whole duality thing being whole, but also part, it pops up again when they talk about periodo de transición, a period of transition. They keep saying integration, like they're gearing up for a massive change.
Right.
They even say, una cosa van a poner más intensa, things are going to get more intense.
That's interesting how they frame this transition. Not with fear, more like heading towards a destination,
Yeah.
guiding David along too.
Yeah.
There's this recurring idea of coming home, bringing true energies, gives us a spiritual vibe, even mystical maybe.
This is where it gets really interesting. It's like they're hinting at some kind of merging. But of what? Energies. Identities.
Yeah.
And then they say, estad contigo. Tienes que estar contigo mismo, con nuestra presencia. That's like, be with yourself. You have to be with yourself with our presence.
That hour really jumps out. Not just a solo journey. They're in this together. This integration needs both of them present, accepting this. Merging of identities, maybe?
Okay, so we've got these two individuals coming together, prepping for this intense transition. But then they talk about needing space within that process, too. They say, pero necesitamos nuestro tiempo para este periodo, para este evento multitud. But we need our time for this period, for this multitude event. What do you think?
It's like even in this deep connection, you still got to grow, process individually, not losing yourself in the other person, but two whole people coming together.
Yeah, I get that. And this brings us to, I think, one of the most interesting parts, this shared journey they're on, sharing experiences. They say, yo disfruto de cada experiencia donde tú vayas, y yo voy, y yo disputo. That's like, I enjoy every experience where you go, and I dispute.
Dispute, huh?
Yeah, what's that about?
Interesting word choice. Could be playful banter, a challenge even.
Yeah.
Like a healthy debate in their relationship. We don't have to agree on everything, but we'll go through it together.
Yeah, there's definitely adventure, excitement in their exploration, but there's also this deeper undercurrent. Remember that line about the fin de tanto tiempo de espera and to such a long wait?
And coming together bajo la superficie de este planeta, under the surface of this planet.
That imagery is powerful. What's that bring up for you?
It feels like there's something hidden, secret about their connection and this transition they're going through, like they're uncovering something huge beneath the surface of everyday reality.
I get that. Like those unspoken connections we have with others, the kind that go beyond words, logic.
It's interesting how they tie this to miedo, fear, that David felt.
Yeah, that part where they reassure David, saying, yo disfruté muchísimo porque no está presente en tu presencia me. It's like acknowledging David's fear, but also saying, hey, I was fully present, even if you weren't.
Shows a deep empathy, understanding. Not judging the fear, just accepting it as part of being human. Highlights their role as a guide, someone who's been through it, now helping David through it.
And it's clear they want David to fully embrace this experience, whatever it is. They even say, te enseñaré nuevos colores, I will teach you new colors.
Wow.
Like they're going to expand David's perception, show him a whole new way of seeing the world.
And here's where the mystical stuff really comes in. They say when it's here, green is no longer green, it can be red. It's like a shift in consciousness, an awakening to something beyond our senses.
Absolutely. And then that incredibly evocative line, la casa eres tú, yo vengo a ti, yo vuelvo a casa. The house is you. I come to you. I return home.
Feels like a love poem almost.
Right. And so much symbolism. David as a house, a place of belonging, safety,
Yeah.
powerful stuff.
What does that image make you think of?
Finding sanctuary in another person, how their presence can feel like coming home after a long journey.
Yeah.
And the speaker coming home to David, it suggests this deep longing for connection, like a reunion. They even talk about bringing nuestras energías, nuestras verdaderas energías originales, our true energies, our original energies.
Mm-hmm.
Like going back to this primal, authentic way of being.
It's beautiful. And there's so much anticipation. Like they're on the verge of something extraordinary.
Totally. They say, yo sé que tiene muchas ganas ya de que todo pase para que tú puedas vivirlo plenamente. I know you really want everything to happen so you can live it fully.
Yeah.
And they encourage David. Estamos en la etapa final de la última recta.
Mm.
La última recta se veía la bandera del espinar. Estamos llegando un poco más de paciencia.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the final stage of the last straight. The last straight could see the flag, the thorn. We are arriving a little more patience. They're almost there, but patience is key, like approaching the finish line of a race they've been running together.
And now in this final stretch, that guide role is even clearer, urging patience, acceptance, presence in this transformation. Acoge al presente, aceptar como te viene, they say. Embrace the present, accept it as it comes.
Words to live by, right. But then the recording takes a turn, like a new chapter's beginning. It adds this whole other dimension to their connection.
Right, the introduction of sexo, sex, adds another layer of complexity to this already intricate tapestry.
It does. And that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of this deep dive.
It's like bringing in sexo makes us broaden what this transformation could even be.
Exactly. Because it's not just physical or even like typical. No.
Definitely not.
It's woven into everything else I've been saying. Spiritual, emotional, the whole tapestry.
Yeah.
They say, sex para mí maravilloso y para a ver si te acuerdas. A ver si recuerdo que tendrá una relación conmigo. It's like, sex for me, wonderful, and to see if you remember. Let's see if I remember that you will have a relationship with me. Almost like sex can trigger a memory of something deeper, something beyond just the physical act.
That's really interesting. Reminds me of some spiritual traditions. They see sexual energy as this powerful force for connection, transcendence even.
Yes. And later they even say, es conmigo que tendrá, it's with me that you will have. What do you think that means?
Could be a few things. Maybe it's reassuring David, like this connection, this integration, it'll lead to a shared sexual experience. But there's also this, I don't know, inevitability to it. Like it's destined to happen, part of their journey.
Yeah, and the speaker seems to get that this might be a tough concept for David. They say, sí, es un poco raro para el humano imaginárselo. Yes, it's a bit strange for the human to imagine it.
I think that's about the limits of how we understand things, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to mystical, spiritual stuff. We're so focused on the physical world, but the speaker's on a whole other level.
Right. And they're not just talking about it. It's like they're announcing a shift right then and there.
Oh.
Ahora yo entro, yo estoy aquí. Now I enter, I am here. Full presence, total merging with David on every level.
Wow. And then they use this phrase, una oración sexual por mí, con nuestras energías, todo quedará en familia.
Yeah, what is that about?
It's like a sexual prayer for me with our energies. Everything will remain in the family.
Really reframes how we think about sex, right?
Completely. What do you think sexual prayer even means?
Elevates it, you know,
Yeah.
beyond the physical, gives it the sacredness, a merging of energies, a spiritual experience they share.
And that everything will remain in the family part, that's interesting too.
Yeah.
Maybe it's reassuring. Like this won't lead to separation, just deeper belonging, unity.
Makes sense.
Could also mean it's deeply personal, intimate, something just between them.
Right. And it's not just about the speaker. They encourage David to let go, accept what's happening. Déjate llevar para que venga a ti. Déjate, acéptalo, recíbelo y disfrútalo como yo también lo estoy disfrutando contigo en ti. Like, let yourself go so that it comes to you. Let yourself go, accept it, receive it, and enjoy it as I am also enjoying it with you, in you.
There's such a give and take there, shared enjoyment. Recognition they're both in this transformation together,
Yeah.
giving and receiving equally.
And it sounds like David gets it, feels it too.
How so?
He says, oh, yo también. Oh, me too. Then he goes on. Iba a decir, yo también tengo muchas ganas de experimentar. Pero de hecho ya lo experimenté. Y sé cómo eres tú el que está pasando por el camino para llegar.
What's he trying to say there?
It's like I was going to say, I also really want to experience, but in fact, I already experienced it, and I know how you are the one who is going through the path to reach.
Interesting. So he's had a taste, a glimpse of this shared experience, this merging,
Yeah.
but he's not fully there yet.
Right. And he knows the speaker's already reached that point. Yeah.
And is guiding him toward it. It goes back to what the speaker said earlier about patience and acceptance. They say, nosotros ya hemos llegado, pero todo tiene que experimentado. We have already arrived, but everything has to be experienced.
A reminder, right? Transformation takes time. Everyone's journey is unique.
Yeah.
But even though they're at different points, they're still connected, still moving forward together.
I love that. And the recording ends so tenderly, so lovingly.
Oh, so.
The speaker says, es maravilloso. La vida es maravilloso. Tú, mi amado y preciosa David, tú eres maravilloso. Tú eres increíble. Tú eres grandioso. Estoy muy orgullosa de ti. Muy orgulloso de ti. Y así.
Wow.
Like, it's wonderful. Life is wonderful. You, my beloved and precious David, you are wonderful. You are incredible. You are great. I am very proud of you, very proud of you. And so, yes.
It's a blessing, a declaration of love, acceptance.
Yeah.
Powerful affirmation of what they went through together.
It really is. So we've traveled through this whole recording, explored its twists and turns, the depths, the nuances.
We saw themes of identity, duality, transformation, connection, even sexuality, all woven into this intricate, evocative tapestry. What stands out most to you from this whole experience?
The power of the human spirit. To seek connection, transcendence. This recording, even with all its mystery, it speaks to that yearning for something more than everyday life. It pushes us to think about how we connect with ourselves, with others, and to embrace the changes those connections can bring.
I love that. It reminds us, even with fear, uncertainty, there's always hope, always potential to grow, evolve. And this recording, it's so personal, but it hits on something universal. That desire to belong, to love and be loved, to experience life to the fullest. It's like we've been right there with them, with the speaker and David, you know, through all the ups and downs, the fears, the hopes, everything.
It's amazing how much they packed into one recording. So much emotion, depth.
And you know what's interesting? This recording, it doesn't fit neatly anywhere.
What do you mean?
Well, we've talked about the spiritual stuff, the mystical parts, those big philosophical questions about identity, connection, but also the deep personal stuff in their relationship.
I think that's what makes it so fascinating.
Right. It doesn't want to be labeled, and it lets us see it from all these different angles, you know, come up with our own interpretations.
Yeah, like a puzzle with a bunch of different solutions. Each listener finds their own way to put it together.
Exactly. We hear hints of different spiritual traditions, but it's not tied to just one.
And even how they talk about sexuality. It's so unique, it makes you think.
It really does. Challenges those conventional ideas, makes you see the potential for something deeper, more meaningful.
Definitely.
So after spending all this time with this recording, what are you left wondering about? Anything still swirling around in your head?
I'm curious what happens next T for them, for the speaker and David. The recording ends on such a hopeful note, but it also feels like, what happens and now W?
I love that question.
Yeah.
It's like this is just the beginning of their story, and we
Right.
get to imagine what comes next.
Right.
Makes me think about those new colors the speaker talks about teaching David. What do those colors represent? Is it just a way of saying you'll see things differently, understand more, or is there something even bigger going on?
Good question. And that whole idea of David being a house, a place of belonging, what does that tell us
Yeah.
about them, the role they each play?
Yeah, it's fascinating. The speaker's drawn to David's energy, needs it maybe, but also guides him, supports him on his own path.
Definitely flips the script on how we usually think about relationships, power dynamics.
Totally. And I think that's one of the most important things we can take away from all this.
Okay.
To question what we think we know, to be okay with things being complicated, and to realize there are so many ways we connect with each other.
Beautifully put.
This recording's like a door. Opens up all these possibilities, different ways of being, loving, experiencing the world. And even though it leaves us with more questions than answers, I think that's part of the magic.
I agree. It makes you wonder. Reminds you there's always more to learn
Yeah.
about ourselves, about how we connect with others.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, one last thought for you to take with you. Imagine you're David. How would you feel about this transformation that's coming? Excited? Scared? What new colors do you hope to see on your journey? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to keep exploring, to keep asking questions. Until next time, keep diving deep.